Yesterday, we had a conversation with the New Democracy Coalition, and Julia Mejia, who is here, Power to the People, Julia Mejia, put out, I'm sorry, a hearing? What is it called that she put out this thing saying that she's going to have a hearing? What is the terminology?
Oh, a hearing order.
Yes, okay. So Julia put out a hearing order yesterday, and that hearing order is specifically for the commercial space across the city of Boston to ensure that Black and brown people have a space at the table, because right now we're not in the Seaport. Right now we're not in Faneuil Hall, right? Like across the city where big business booms.
Very brought up too. Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. And so since we are not in these spaces, she is as the chair of the business committee.
I think it's small business and workforce development. Is that right, Councillor Mejia? I think there might be one other topic in there too, but
something like that.
Yeah.
What she also added was a young man's name by Faneuil and changing the Faneuil Hall name. And so yesterday we spoke with Kevin Peterson, and Kevin said that he had a conversation with you after Andrea Campbell cut the lights off on him, that you were going to spearhead a hearing order for the renaming of Faneuil Hall, but it hasn't happened yet. Is that something that you are still committed to?
So the hearing order was written and drafted. Small business and workforce development. It was actually a little bit broader than just that one. It was definitely a key part of what we had worked on. And this was in partnership with now our council president, but this was at last term, then Councillor Kim Janey, as well as Councillor Lydia Edwards. And so the three of us had gotten in a room with the New Democracy Coalition, and the goal was to have a hearing about the ways across the city in which our placemaking, our monuments, our building names, our spaces don't reflect the heritage of all of Boston. And so we had some language in there also about the Women's Heritage Trail. We had some language in there about how in all of Boston there's only one, Boston has one of the oldest Chinatowns in the country, and in all of Boston there's only one statue that features a person of Chinese descent, and it's Confucius, right? It's not like a Bostonian or anything like that. It's in front of one of the buildings in Chinatown, and so the goal was to put all that together. And I think there's a little back and forth about Kevin and his group, which I totally, there was just like a few little things of like they really wanted to focus on, can this be a specific conversation about Faneuil Hall, about restorative justice, about reparations. And I think we weren't quite there in terms of when do we file and what's the plan, because, to be honest, I can file stuff, right? Like you just throw it out there, it gets on there. But the question is then like, are you just checking the box and saying that you've done it? Or are you actually putting some muscle behind trying to get something out of it, right? So I like to be really intentional about what's the game plan for what are we trying to get out of this conversation? Like, is it that we are going to create a commission to talk about names and place names and how we're falling short? Is it that we're going to create a list for when I can say hi to my mama.
Hi. How are you, Mom? Good to see you. You want to take another kid? I got a 2-year-old. I will drop him off today.
So I think the goal is, okay, I would like to know how I can play a role in being specifically advancing this conversation as opposed to just throwing something else out there. And so, yes, I would love to play a part. I think Boston, one of probably the thing that's holding us back is that we have not come to terms with our history. And I'm talking about history like school committee, history like Faneuil Hall, all the way back
Housing, The Color of
Yeah.
Law. Have you ever
Yep,
read the
yeah,
book, The
yep,
Color
yep,
of
Yep.
Yo, the fact that we are the example in that damn book more than Philadelphia is disheartening. Like, I won't even get there. That's a whole nother soapbox. All right. So you are for changing the name of Faneuil Hall, but under the guise of not just Faneuil Hall, but making sure there's fair representation across the city.
I mean, I'm not sold on just, I want to know that changing a name will bring about something real there, right? I think it's important to have these conversations. I will be eager to engage on making sure that we are talking about our history honestly and ways that we can change who we're lifting up and how it can better reflect all of our history. I have not yet publicly been like, okay, I'm sure that changing the name will make this set of things happen after that. But more and more people keep bringing it up to me that this is something that they want me to evaluate and weigh. And so
we don't have Hitler's name nowhere. Nowhere. We don't have what's the general in Alabama that freaking killed everyone, the red coat. We do not have like killers just you know, and monumize people who did nothing but keep others as goods for their services. I understand what you're saying. I just want to be clear that. So have you ever taken any of the tours, the water tours around the Charleston, the tours for the Boston Tea Party, any of these tours? Have you taken them?
I went on a duck boat one time, a really long time ago. That was it.
So I say that to say I've taken some of these tours and I've taken them with family, but I've also taken them with the children when they go on field trips. There is no, unless you're specifically going to like the African Heritage Museum, like there is no speak of our racist history or the things that we have done as anyone. Like it just... So I'm with you as far as like symbolism of just a name change is not enough, but what is being done or what measure is being taken so it's not just to make sure that the tours properly have these facts. Do we own the tours or no? Can we change the tour? So we can't change the tours, but can the city have all-encompassing, this is the true history of Boston?
Yeah. And with the city, I mean, look at what the city does control, which is the names on all of our school buildings, right? The names on our community centers. And even if you look at that, they don't come anywhere close to reflecting the history of the city.